What is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to a very special episode of the Kingdom Says. I am your host, as always. Tonight, I have three beautiful gentlemen joining me on the screen. At the top right of the screen, we've got Mr. Thomas Pike, Arrowhead Tom. How are we doing tonight, Tom?
I'm doing well. It's weird being up here. Sometimes I just randomly get to switch places with Kyle, and it always makes me feel like I'm moving up in the world. It's setting a good tone for the night, for the evening. So super excited to do that, to be up here. So we're gonna ride that momentum.
That's good. That's very good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear Tom is riding high. Also joining us, Kyle Henning. Mr. Kyle Henning, how are we doing tonight, sir?
Doing all right. Dealing with a job title change now for tonight's episode. I was anticipating one role when I got on here, and now I'm going to be doing a totally different one. So
here we go.
Going to be fun. Good luck to you guys following along with me. But it should be a good time. We had some technical issues with our guest that was supposed to be with us for this, so there will be no extra guests this evening. It'll be just the four of us, which is fine. We'll be good to go. I had anticipated doing a different activity, and now I'm going to be improvising as we go here. So bear with.
He was off the hook real quick.
How you good? On the fly, we got to do stuff on the fly here at the Kingdom Says. That's what we're good at. And last but not least, Mr. Randy Ellenberger. How are we doing tonight, Randy?
Doing awesome. I am doing awesome. Always a pleasure to hang out with you, gentlemen. I use that term loosely for a couple of you, but it's always a good time. Always a good time. Ready to talk some ball. I'm excited for mock draft warfare once again. So yeah, let's get this baby rolling.
Let's do it. Yeah. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with what we're doing tonight, this is a little thing we've done. This is the fifth running of it now, I believe. The year 5 of doing mock draft warfare. So it's a fun little exercise we've done every year. Essentially, the breakdown, you'll kind of understand more as it goes, but essentially the whole point is we're doing dueling mock drafts, essentially. So we're going to run a mock draft simulator tonight, just one big simulator run. Leaving complete luck of the draw and randomness and the unpredictability to the simulator, and we're going to go in order. We have an order picked out of going around in a snake draft format of choosing guys, and the kind of the catch is obviously when you choose a person, that person is eliminated from anyone else to choose during that round. It also eliminates the position for that round. So for example, if the person who has the first pick, say I believe that's Tom tonight, if he came out and decided to select Jackson Dart at 31, then nobody else for round one could select a quarterback. So then the next person would have to go and they select a wide receiver. So then wide receiver and quarterback are off the table for that round, so on and so forth. So the fourth person in the round has three picks already, or positions already eliminated from them. And then it snakes around, resets, so you can Randy or whoever has the last pick can then choose a quarterback in the second round, and keep on going from there. So it's a fun exercise. It's a little bit challenging, kind of having to deal with, a little bit of the unpredictability of what might happen on draft night as far as who might be available. There's always surprises as far as who gets picked early, who doesn't, all that different type of stuff. So yeah, and the main goal here tonight is to select somebody that is picked by the Chiefs, essentially. So that's kind of the goal, is to get somebody right. We've had a couple wins throughout these 5 years. I have successfully chosen two people right in some of these mock drafts. Last year, Tom had the winner with Kingsley Suamataia. So we'll see. We'll see if anyone can successfully predict a Chiefs draft pick tonight. There's going to be 20 selections because we're doing 4 rounds, which the Chiefs have 5 picks through those first 4 rounds. So we're going to have a lot of names tonight. We're going to go a little rapid fire and kind of just send it from here. So with that being said, gentlemen, any comments, thoughts, and concerns before we get this thing rolling?
My only question is, so say Tom picks a defensive tackle. Is edge still on the table, or is D-line consolidated into one?
Edge is still on the table. Yeah, those are distinct positions, D tackle and edge.
Gotcha.
To clarify 2 quick things to Randy's question, because we've done this a couple years ago, and I consume a lot of draft content. I listen to a lot of mock drafts. I read a lot of mock drafts. This is unique, especially for a team-based situation. So I think the benefit is it plays out different scenarios, but it kind of reflects. We take that position off the board. Like sometimes there's a run at wide receiver, there's a run at tackle, whatever, and so. It kind of represents what happens if there's not a tackle or whatever on the board that is there. So it definitely forces some creativity. I wanted to clarify. So if there's a player, Randy, I'll use your guy, Gray Zabel, offensive lineman, could play all 5 positions.
Right.
When a player who kind of has that positional flexibility is taken, we will specify, are you drafting him as a guard, a center, or a tackle? And understanding, like, you might draft a guy as a tackle, his primary position, and he may kick in later, but you kind of got to make a decision on what you're drafting with that. And then just a quick clarification, just because we have multiple picks in round 3, that positional restriction will reset at
each pick.
Per pick.
Yes.
Yeah, not necessarily round. We say round to keep it simple, but the Chiefs have had, I think, multiple day 2 picks almost every year that we've done this.
Pretty much every season, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then while I'm on my little tangent, I wanted to shout out a couple quick things. So one, we want to throw some love to our boy Country, who was going to join us but couldn't because of technical issues. Country's with the Kingdom Cast crew, and we love those guys. They've always been big supporters, and we've got to do some good work with them.
He did it with us last year. He was going to do it again this year, and then we couldn't get technology to play nicely. So
yes, as happens sometimes. So we want to give him a shout out. He tried valiantly.
He did. Yes, he did.
Committed to it. But shout out to him. Show him some love. If for some reason you're not following those guys, you should definitely be following them. Look them up, Kingdom Cast.
Kingdom Cast. Also, check out Country's wrestling podcast, 2 Words for You. That's a great time. That's a great time as well.
Yeah.
Garrett has done some stuff for him over there too. For them, Country talked about it last time he was on, but
yeah,
we've worked with them for several years. They're a good group.
Yeah. So the other thing I'm gonna throw out there, as we're listening to this podcast, obviously rate, review, subscribe, sign up for Underdog, use the promo code kingdomsays. Those are all things you hear every week. This one you don't. So we want this to be a bigger exercise every year. So do me a favor. As you're listening to this, when you hit that retweet button, when you hit that share button, tag some of your favorite Chiefs draft content creators. We've asked a couple people. A lot of guys are just busy. We want to put it on the radar. This is such a busy time of year. We just want people to see it. We want people to see it and go, dude, that is actually a lot of fun. Let's make time for it next year. Let's make sure that's a priority. And that's not pointing fingers at anybody, because sometimes I'm late to reach out, if we're being fully honest.
And schedules are difficult, especially with a lot of the guys that do this stuff.
But again, I believe in the value of this exercise, and it's so much fun. And the little competitive, the competition at stake here is a lot of fun. So we would love to get more creators involved. If there is a Chiefs content creator, especially somebody who knows about the draft, who you think would be awesome to be part of these conversations, please, when you go to share this, tag them in it. Tag them, tag us, let us know. We're familiar with a lot of those guys. We're thankful to have good relationships in the community, but maybe there's other guys who we don't know about, or just, again, having them get eyes on us and get ears on us and go, wow, that was a really cool episode. I want to be a part of that next year. Would be awesome. So that's my big ask for you. As we get into this, we are all eager to do it. So I'm going to shut up, and I think Garrett's going to pull up our simulator. We're going to get rocking and rolling, and I am starting it off, so you still got to listen to me talk. How unfortunate for you guys.
Hey.
Okay. Yeah, Tom said some great stuff right there. I couldn't have said it any better myself. So with that, let's dive into this thing. Let's get the camera situation. Ooh, I'm not supposed to be on here. There we go. Okay. So as everybody should be able to see the screen, this is our simulator for the day. So we're using NFL Mock Draft Simulator, or NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator. They seem to be a pretty good simulator for most part. They have a pretty good consensus ranking. Obviously, nothing's ever perfect, and there's so much unpredictability in the NFL draft that you just never really know. So, but we're gonna roll with it how it goes. If there's something really egregious, we might, we'll roll with it how we go. But
there was one year we had to restart this by the time it got to our pick because what took place made functionably no sense on any universe.
I'm pretty sure we restarted it last year.
Yeah.
We may have a couple of mulligans, but only for the sake of realist. Like if Cam Ward is sitting there at 31 and hasn't murdered somebody before draft day, then something's amiss.
So. Exactly. Okay, so let's start the simulation here. So obviously the first we'll kind of let it go through the first round. Seems so far, I mean, Shedeur Sanders is still on the board. He went up like 11 or something, 12 or around that range. But yeah, let's see who's left at 31. We're going to reject any trades that come up, which there are a bunch of offers. And so we already have there's a good amount of names left. Nothing too unrealistic, I'd think. In the order that we're going, it's the order that's listed on the screen on the right side of the screen. It's going Tom, Kyle, Randy, and then myself, and then it'll snake back for round 2 and so on and so forth. So that means, Mr. Arrowhead Tom, you are on the clock as far as round 1.
Oh man, there's one player that I love here. There's one player that I didn't expect to be here. Who? Oh man.
While you think of that,
give me 1 second. I'm researching.
Quick research session out of Tom. He doesn't, surprisingly enough, he doesn't know every single prospect.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with. I'm going with Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon. We've talked about him plenty. I think that's he's right there at the top. I think that's such a just easy, safe pick for Kansas City, trying to predict what they want. There was another player who, again, I did not expect to be there at 31 that I was very tempted to take because of the athletic profile. No, it wasn't Jackson Dark, but
sure.
Yeah, I will defer to Kyle to hopefully. Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of guys. Not a bad
handful of guys. Okay,
so
Tom, first pick off the board, Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon. Big pick right there. Kyle, you are on the clock. What's the thought process here? Any positions you want to see? I mean, there's a lot of names here.
Yeah, there's a couple of names. There's only really 2 names on that.
Could sneak in a couple guys. There's a couple guys that might end up being round 1 sleepers that are maybe a little undervalued on this board, but on some other people's boards they're higher valued. And you never know. You never know. Once again, too,
it's interesting to go through all these, mock draft, databases and whatnot, and seeing which ones have guys placed where. Like there's some drastic differences in some of these, whether it's PFF or the mock draft database here, other ones too. That they can get a little crazy with some of the rankings, but it's interesting to see.
So, kind of what I'm going through at the moment is there's a lot of very similar leveled individuals at one position, but it's not necessarily a position we need at the moment. So that's a bit tough for me to, since with Andy Reid's comments today about the left guard position being Kingsley versus Caliendo, basically. And with Trey Smith getting the bag and Creed getting the bag, there's not a lot of interior offensive line play that this team is going to have available for snaps the next few years if the Kingsley thing goes how they expect it to go. But that's where the strength of these positions are right now, of the top portion of this draft. The problem for James Pierce Jr. is he's too small to play Spags edge. He's 6'3", 245. He's not a big, long guy that's 265 pounds that can play that edge. He's more that off-ball linebacker edge. I struggle to see Spags and them doing that. I don't particularly love Connerly's film of what I've watched on it. It's not my favorite. So it's tough because I think the best player available model that I would go with is probably the interior offensive line, and then you're just kind of picking between two.
It's a tough choice. It's a tough choice.
They're not doing anything with Jackson Dart except maybe trading this pick and getting more players in the early second round.
Yeah, a lot of guys in that early kind of day 2 window that just might have to sneak into round 1.
I just
You're not
don't
going to have a shot
know.
at him in round 2.
I don't think they're going to take a running back that early either. Even though I do like Travion Henderson a lot, I don't know that they're taking another 31 running back.
Yeah. Also, in this draft, Amarion Hampton went at 29, so we almost had a shot at him. Luther Burden also at 30. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to just do the thing and take the kid that can play anywhere and probably see if they can find a spot for him as either the Nick Allegretti rotating interior backup who's able to play all 3 spots, and take the kid out of North Dakota State, which is Gray Zabel. So
Gray Zabel, okay.
Ooh, Randy's got to be heartbroken.
That's
I don't have a choice.
Heartbroken? No, I mean everybody knows that I'm an NDSU guy, and I think Gray Zabel is absolutely fantastic. Probably the best, technically sound and most versatile offensive lineman in this draft. Would I love to see him in Kansas City? Absolutely. If they've drafted Zabel, I'd be the first guy in line to buy that jersey.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Without a doubt. But fortunately, I just don't ever see that situation actually happening. For the aforementioned, instances that Kyle laid before us, our interior O-line is pretty much set. So, but
I mean, the best case scenario is
I'd be doing cartwheels. If I could do a cartwheel, I'd be doing them all over.
I mean, I would still love to see it. Yeah, he immediately upgrades one spot on your offensive line, so that's huge.
If he beats out Caliendo and Kingsley, then maybe they have to put Kingsley back out at tackle where he should be to be anyway. So
I wouldn't hit that either. So,
all right, Randy, what are you thinking for your round 1 selection here?
All right, well, I thought for sure that Kyle was going to go for Josh Connerly, the tackle. So I kind of figured that was going to be that was going to force me into a different situation, and I'm kind of with Kyle as well. I mean, Connerly at one point, was the number 1 offensive lineman in high school. So he was the best, he was the most highly recruited offensive lineman in the country. Played a little bit as a freshman, but then really solidified himself, giving up 1 sack his sophomore year and 9 pressures last year in Oregon. So when we're talking about left tackle, he does a lot of things right for what we would want. We want somebody that's really good in pass protection to play that blindside protector for Pat. Unfortunately, Connerly just lacks that tenacity and that dog attitude that I have to have in all of my offensive linemen. And being an offensive line coach, there's just something about him that's missing to me. I think he plays too high. I think he's susceptible to bull rushes and power guys. But with that being said, looking at the draft board and where we're at and what's going on, I really have my pick of 2 players that I could legitimately see going at this spot. And I think for our team need, even for all those things that I just said, I'm going to have to go with Connerly, I think.
Okay, dang. Going Josh Connerly, the offensive tackle, having that locked down. Okay, I can see that. I can see him being still around at 31. Now, also, you have to kind of remember with this exercise, and this has happened to us basically every round or every year that we've gotten a prediction right, is we predict a guy to maybe go in round 1, like Tom did last year with Kingsley, and we ended up getting them in round 2.
Yeah,
that happened year 1 it happened with me when I chose Creed. I think I even chose Sky Moore around earlier than what that ended up getting selected. So, if a win's a win if you still select the guy in the wrong spot.
Garrett is the reason we have Sky Moore on the roster. You heard it here.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Hey, okay, he was down at Chief Camp South this year.
He was, yeah. Also, there's a lot of guys down there that will probably not make the team, so who knows? Okay, so that puts me on the board to round off round 1 and then start off round 2. So yeah, listen, there's obviously a lot of the bigger names are kind of gone. A lot of the value is already gone. I don't have to worry about choosing a lineman in any capacity, really, unless I chose an edge rusher, because D tackle, interior offensive line, and offensive tackle are all chosen. So for me, you look at the wide receiver position. On this ranking on NFL Mock Draft Database, they have both Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, or Noel. I think it's just Noel. They have them pretty lowly rated, but there's been conversations that either of these guys might sneak into round 1. Tight end Mason Taylor is a kind of intriguing name. Running back, there's some intriguing names. I'm not a huge fan of James Pierce as well. I don't think he's, there's some attitude or effort problems that I know they're kind of presented to him. He's really not the stereotypical Spag size. One rule him out. This guy's gotten a lot of love around draft time. Maxwell Hairston as a potential late round 1 sleeper. So that's I'm kind of. This is a tough one. I've not been left with a lot of great options here. If I'm
Maxwell
being real,
a corner.
He is a corner. Yeah.
Where does he go to school?
Kentucky.
Ooh, just barely.
Yeah, the Mason
Dixon. Your Mason Dixon theory. Yeah.
It's not a theory. It's a fact. That's what they do.
It seems to be a pretty fact. Yeah. Yeah. This guy, I don't know, guys. I'm kind of. If I'm gonna have to lean one position,
he does have the measurables and everything that Spags wants.
He's got the decent measurables.
He's 190 pounds. He runs a 4.3 or a sub 4.3. So
yeah,
it's not like it would be. Not like it would be the craziest thing in the world if he ended up on the Chiefs' radar. But
yeah. For me, I think it's Maxwell Hairston is an enticing pick, but I think I'm gonna go with a little bit maybe of a reach. I don't know. I don't think so. I think he might sneak in at the end of day 1. I'm looking at Jalen Noel. He was one of my guys that we identified last week on our episode. A really, really talented route runner. I think he'll just be. If the Chiefs drafted him, I think he'd be just an awesome addition to the offense. I think he's a really sure-handed receiver who you can have basically do anything you want with him. He can line up in the slot. He can do outside stuff. He's athletic enough to do a lot of that stuff. Not maybe as polished as some of the other, receiver options. Like I know Luther Burden in this draft went 1 pick before us at Buffalo. That would have been, kind of nice. But Jalen Noel, I like him a lot. I like him a lot as a prospect. There's been some round 1 love for him. So that's going to be my selection at the end of this first round here, Jalen Noel.
I do like his teammate a little bit better. Everybody knows my affinity for us trying to get a bigger wide receiver, but
Jalen, and it'll just never happen.
He does fit the mold of the Andy Reid wide receiver without a doubt.
Yeah, Jalen Noel is definitely more Andy's type. And as much as we'd all love to see a bigger body like Jaden Higgins, it just until I see it, I don't think I'll ever believe it. So with that, I'm gonna draft Jalen Noel, and we're gonna shuffle into the second part of this draft, or into round 2, where we have obviously a lot of picks, and this is gonna be where it gets a little crazy, I think, with some of the value that's still left here.
I'm going to encourage you all to go back and watch some tape on James Pierce Jr. and then go look at Felix Anudike-Uzomah's measurements.
I know. I don't think they'll do it again.
Okay,
yeah, I won't go on that.
We didn't choose him, Tom. So he got chosen by someone else.
I know, but I talked about why I didn't think they would do it, because he doesn't fit the Spags build fully. They could grow him into it a little bit, but he's not long enough. Yeah, and I don't think they'll do it again like they did with Felix. I think Felix was we're making a pick at 31, and we really like the kid, but he doesn't fit our mold, but we'll do it anyway. And he's played above where I thought he would get to be honest.
Okay. So with that, so I have a little recap of what happened after our pick. Tyler Booker, Ariante Ursary, Jaden Higgins went at 35. So that's kind of telling. Caleb Johnson went all the way up at 39. James Pierce went at 40. So it's interesting how it kind of gets laid out. A couple, Landon Jackson, as I know, is a fan favorite here in the Kingdom Says. So we're at round 2. Here we go. I chose Jalen Noel for my first pick. Snakes around to me again. offensive tackles, not many great ones left for me, unfortunately. So that's tough. Hate to see that. I think I might have to. There's some interesting options here. I'm not sure which way to go. Darian Porter is still here. Xavier Watts, Darius Alexander. Not too much of a fan of him. Quinshon Judkins is a guy I can see the Chiefs drafting. So that's realistic. Alfred Collins. I do like me some Texas players. You guys know that.
Yeah, for a USC fan, you do like a lot of Texas players.
Yeah, I don't know. Texas they have a good program down there. Andrew Mukaba too. Ooh. Kevin Winston Jr. I know that's Tom's guy. Okay. This is a tough one. Fellas. I think I'm gonna have to go. Let's just load up on skill positions. You know what? Let's do Quinshon Judkins out of Ohio State. Let's just load up on him. He's a really good running back. Adds an explosive body to that running back room. I think he'd be great in the offense. I think he'll have a really good career wherever he ends up going. He was a really good back for Ohio State. Just a really talented playmaker. You know, it's maybe not my favorite running back in the draft, but it's a really good one still. Getting him at 63, I think is kind of a steal, honestly, too, because he's kind of a borderline round 1, early day 2 player. So that's what I'm gonna lean. I'm gonna go with Quinshon Judkins as my second pick. And
all right.
So that reads back to Randy.
All right. So what do we got here? We got Mr. Watts. I know that would send tingles down Kyle's spine and make him do a little happy dance.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let Mr. Watts sit there and hang out there for a little bit. But can we scroll down?
If there's a position you want to choose or anything, let me know.
I just wanted to see. Yep, there's my dude right there. One of my fan favorites. You're hovering above him right there. I am going to take Darian Porter.
All right. Yeah.
Darian Porter is a long, fast, playmaking ball hawk of a corner that I think could really solidify our secondary, and I'm a big Darian Porter fan.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you've been a fan of him for a long time. He fits the Spags mold completely. Real long, lengthy quarterback, good tackler.
6'4", 200 pounds, 4'3".
Yeah, really impressive athlete. I would be behind that.
Hands.
Yep. Yeah, I would definitely be behind a little bit of Darian Porter in our lives.
There you go, Kyle. I left him for you.
All right, Kyle.
Don't say anything for you.
Kyle's going to run this card in.
Yeah. This isn't even difficult. It's Xavier Watts. I've talked about
Xavier Watts. Yeah.
I've talked about him a lot. He's one of my favorite players from that university. He's probably my. I love Ben Morrison. He did not get to see him play this year because obviously he got hurt. I believe he went a little bit earlier in this
60.
round.
Yeah, he almost had a shot.
Couple picks.
Yeah, that would have been the one that hurt me if you still took Darian Porter, and then I couldn't take Morrison.
Yeah.
So no, Xavier is an all-around safety. He can play any portion of the safety position that you want him to. He's extremely intelligent, and he's a playmaker in that group. And we don't seem to have a ton of ball hawk guys. Like, it just seems to not pan out for whatever reason with this secondary. I don't know why they don't get quite as many interceptions as some of them suggest their talent level suggests they should. But
yeah,
he's extremely intelligent. He can tackle. He plays all three elements of the safety position. He'd be fine. He'd be a lot of fun to have too. So,
I agree. Yep, I agree. Especially losing Justin Reed. I mean, we got some young guys to step up in his place. But Xavier Watts. Imagine the combo of Xavier Watts and Jaden Hicks as for the next couple years.
That'd be pretty. Wouldn't hurt my feelings any.
That wouldn't suck.
That would be pretty good. All right, Tom. Back to you. You can't choose a running back, corner, or safety, which
is okay with me. I'm in an interesting position here because there's a player on this board that I have a very high opinion of. Doesn't fit our need per se, but the other player is a defensive tackle, which I've already taken. Can you scroll just a little bit further down on the main list? So no. Let me see who's left at wide receiver real quick.
Wide receiver, yeah. Got your
offensive
guy.
tackle is pretty rough, I think we said.
Yeah, offensive tackle, not a ton.
Yeah.
Not a ton left.
And I know I've got the swing pick. Go back to all real quick.
Yeah.
This is tough. Okay.
Tough exercise.
I think
here is what I'm thinking out loud.
Okay.
I'm between Alfred Collins, the defensive tackle from Texas, which I think is totally fine because he's a very different player from Derek Harmon. He's more traditional nose. But he offers more pass rush, and the Chiefs really were depleted at defensive tackle this year.
Yeah.
The other player is a guy I haven't talked about, but really like. Scroll up a little bit further. He's near the top. Tate Ratledge out of Georgia. He's a guard. And if he had not had some of the injuries he had last year, he had that tightrope surgery, he probably would be a guy that we're talking about as a blue chip kind of quality guard. Absolutely moves people, anchors well, just a dog in the run game. And I think more and more about between the uncertainty of Kingsley developing, and then you want to pay Trey, but those negotiations could go either way. I think you also maybe have a conversation if you draft him and Juwan moves. Maybe you try Kingsley at right tackle. And you guys know I'm the biggest Kingsley fan out here. As I'm talking about it, I was going to do a coin flip generator, but I think I've talked myself into it. I think you can't let good players keep you from drafting great players. I think Tate Ratledge has the upside of a great player. I think he adds an attitude to the run game that the Chiefs have been missing. I don't say missing, but could have more of, especially at trying to fill the shoes of Joe Tooney. So I didn't see this one coming. I'm taking Tate Ratledge here.
Tate Ratledge. All right. There we go. Tate Ratledge.
Not hard on my list, but he's just too. I just think, you got to have good players. So
I like it. And lucky for you, Tom, you're right back on the clock at pick 66, and there's really only been, technically there's only one guy that you couldn't have picked off the board since then. So right back to you. The world is your oyster, and you can choose anyone. Now you got free reign.
Now this is the hard part because Alfred Collins is still here.
Alfred Collins is still here. Double dipping on defensive tackle might be a little crazy, but
it would be a little crazy double dipping on defensive tackle. It would also screw some of you guys. That was the other part. That could really make your lives interesting. I really like. I really, really like Kevin Winston Jr. And that is so hard for me. I know we don't have a tackle yet. I know.
Tackles are basically the same options you had earlier as far as.
I think. When I think about what moves the needle most for this team, I think I'm going back to defensive tackle, and I'm taking Alfred Collins.
All right. Dang. Alfred Collins off the board on at the top of round 3. So that's going to eliminate a couple options for everybody else. Kyle, back to you, sir. Got an interior offensive lineman and a safety so far. What else do we got?
I will say I'm surprised Darius Alexander's here. He's an older guy, but
he's older, yeah. Kyle, what's your thought process? is great podcasting.
This is
just dead space. I mean, you were thinking the cogs are turning. The cogs are turning in Kyle's head. A lot of potential.
Well, this is an odd spot to be in.
Again, sometimes gotta reach on guys that you won't have another opportunity at.
Yeah, go to the wide receiver tab for a second.
Let's go to wide receivers. Let's see who we got. Let's see who we got left still.
Ooh.
Yeah, not bad.
Well,
a couple options.
Kyle, your namesake has a lot of buzz out there right now. Very speedy.
I know,
that's
but
a combination of our namesakes, Kyle. It's like if we had a baby.
Right there.
If the planets were to align,
if we just shift some things,
right?
That's more like if you guys did the Dragon Ball Z fusion dance.
Yeah. Or we got some Patara earrings. Either way,
So this is. I don't like any
Tyler
of this.
Show. We always need a backup quarterback.
We do not
need a big backup quarterback.
I'm stuck on Iumenor because I've watched him because we had to play them for several years there for a while with Notre Dame. He's interesting. I don't know how they would use him is my only concern with that one.
He's a talented ball player. Yeah,
he's a dog. Very scrappy.
He's got sure hands, but
Coach's
I just don't know if they would use him.
And I think he's an underrated athlete. Like he's not gonna, he's not a 4.39 guy.
Yeah, sneaky athlete.
Yeah. He's
from Alberta, Canada.
He would come in and be the tallest wide receiver we have at 6'2".
Yeah, he is from Alberta, Canada, so you got to consider that.
He's a true outside.
I will take Iumenor. I think they're going to address wide receiver. I don't know if it's going to be him, but I do think they will take a wide receiver.
Alec Iumenor for Mr. Kyle. I would definitely have a lot of trouble pronouncing that name if I had to say it many times, but I'd figure it out, Okay, Randy, back to you, sir. You can't choose a D tackle or a wide receiver.
All right, and I have a tackle and a corner.
Yep.
So I'm not necessarily sure. Like I don't ever see Darius being here at this point in time in the actual draft.
Yeah.
And you took Judkins last round, so running back is still available, correct?
Running back is still available, although Judkins technically is not available, even though he's still here. But there's still Scattaboo and Sampson and Harvey and a couple other guys.
Right. Let's
any other positions you want to look at, just let me know.
No, I think sitting here at 66, I'm going to go with one of the most intriguing players in this draft for me. And do I necessarily see this happening? Probably not. But the potential of having Cam Scattaboo in our backfield is just too intriguing at this point to say no to that. I know there are some other areas that are more pressing. There's a couple guys here that I like in a couple different spots, but this is kind of where I see Mr. Scattaboo going in that top of the third round. So I'm gonna go Scattaboo.
Nice. I do like that pick. I would really enjoy seeing Cam Scattaboo in a Chiefs uniform. He might not be the perfect back for the Chiefs, but he's just a fun player. He's a fun player to watch.
He's an exciting player to watch. He's polarizing. He has followers on both ends of the spectrum. A lot of people love him.
I'll be very interested to see if he can translate that success to the NFL. I think
he's just one of those dudes who he's like, you give him the ball and he's going to get 3 or 4, and the first guy's not going to take him down more often than not. So he's a fun player. Do I see it happening? Probably not. But at this point, it was too intriguing not to roll the dice.
You're right. Okay, well, that puts me back on the board. No running back, wide receiver, or defensive tackle are available for me. Honestly, this is a pretty easy one for me, just having looked through all the guys that are still left. A couple interesting names at tight end, Harold Fannin and Terrence Ferguson. But I talked about this guy, another one of my guys last episode that I talked about, Mr. Andrew Mukuba. He's a safety, really talented player. Just a little undersized for what you might think. I compared him to a safety version of Trent McDuffie on last episode. really good player. He has a good natural instinct for the ball. He's kind of a ball hawk, which is nice. Good plus athlete, really sure tackler. Has some experience playing in the slot and nickel and stuff like that. So he's real versatile, which obviously we love. Stags loves a versatile defensive back, and he's a player from Texas, so he's probably going to be good, at least as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, as far as all the, I mean, yeah, it's would have maybe chose defensive tackle if that was still on the board. It would have probably been Alfred Collins though. So Tom, he got a good one there. Omar Norman Lott also still on the board. He's a sneaky first round potential prospect that a little interesting. But I'm gonna go Andrew Makuba. I'm gonna go with him, and we will simulate to now the end of the third round where the Chiefs have the pick number 95. And
thank you, L'Jarius Sneed, for that early third round pick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can always count on the Chiefs to have a round 3 or 4 or 5.
Jared, get off safety right now. Hide that. Don't let anybody else see.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know what I'm looking at.
I will leave the podcast. I swear to God, guys, if you don't let me.
Yeah, I think you might be safe on that one, Tom. Okay, so back to me once again. There's a couple of names still on the board that are very interesting to me. Obviously, I've already chosen a wide receiver, a running back, and a safety. So it feels like I need some size. It feels like I need some size. And I know I just talked about this Omar Norman Lott guy as a potential guy. Might be a first round consideration. Getting him here at the end of 3, I think, would be a little bit better. It's either him or Shamar Turner. And honestly, though, I'm kind of might lean Shamar Turner. I mean, I'm doing a quick read up on him. He's Dane Brugler's defensive tackle 6. So I mean, any other positions that intrigue me more? Offensive tackle is still not great. Interior offensive line, not great. Some interesting names still. Some very interesting names. Will Howard, I'm going to go Shamar Turner, I think. I'm going to take him off the board. I think it'd be kind of crazy if he's still here at 95. But defensive tackle adds to the defensive line. He's a good size. He's 6'3", 290. So he's kind of a perfect in-betweener, kind of similar to a Tershawn Wharton build. I like him. I'll take him. I'm gonna go with him, Shamar Turner, as my pick. So that goes back to Randy now. Randy, what do you got?
You want to scroll up? I'm just curious on where my target actually went. I was looking at Ty Robinson. Granted, I wouldn't have been able to pick him now because you just took defensive line, but I was really expecting Mr. Robinson to still be there.
Looks like he went 69 to the Patriots, so he went only a couple picks after 66. Yeah,
interesting.
Little run on defensive tackles there. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Since you took defensive line, can you go to the edges for me, please?
Yeah. Let's see who's left at edge.
Right there. This guy has been picking up a little steam for me the more I try to watch some of these later round edges, because I kind of, we're going to have to get one here somewhere. And there's 3 of them right there that I actually really like, with Gelati and Ivy and Jones. I think they all add something to our team. They all have a little bit of different game, but I think the most well-rounded out of that individual, and a guy who's been creeping up my edge board, is I'm going to go with Ashton Gelati.
Okay, Ashton Gelati. I haven't seen much of his yet. I'll have to dive into some Ashton Gelati tape.
He's fun. He's stronger than you think.
Nice. Okay.
He's a little powerhouse. But yeah, not a ton of buzz. But I've been reading more and more about him, watching some more film, and he's been picking up some steam here as of late. So I'm happy with that one at 95. So.
Okay, good pick. Edge and defensive tackle are now off the board. Kyle, what do you got for us? There's a name on here I automatically see that I know you're kind of a fan of,
No. I could do the position. So this is where the exercise portion of mock draft warfare is kind of fun. You can mess with some folks if you...
Look at me, Kyle. Don't do it. I'm looking directly at you. You already have a safety.
Yeah.
You don't need two.
You see how this works is you want to take players you think they may take at any point in these first several picks of this draft. That way you have more bites at the apple. May not necessarily be at this exact pick, but if they take them, it still counts. You see how that works. So, Tom mentioned I do have a safety. There's also another safety. If you'll scroll back up, Garrett, there's another safety on that board right there that's pretty decent that they could potentially deal with. There's also I could do the fun thing where I take another wide receiver because I think there's another player that's sitting right there that they might take a bite at either at this pick or the next one.
Yeah.
So
a couple tight ends,
Fannin isn't ideal, but I don't think it would be here.
Billy Bowman, he's a dog. Got a fun name.
The problem is
there's some running backs still available. Besides Skybroo.
Sorry, excuse me. Go to the running back rooms, please. Sorry.
Running back?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Okay. I was looking for the all button too, but that's all right. I'm going to take Jalen Royals because I think they might use a pick on him later. So we'll take another wide receiver off the board.
Wide receiver Jalen Royals. I don't hate it. I do like Jalen Royals' game. He's been creeping up the draft boards. A little underrated.
I do like Jalen Royals. He's kind of one of those. He's flying in that mid-round guys, and I see a lot of Puka Nacua in Jalen Royals. Which I was a big Puka fan coming out of BYU as well.
I'm being nice to Tom, too, because I thought about taking the other side.
I know you did.
Is Jalen Royals a confirmed Mormon like Puka, or is that still TBD, so not BYU? Utah State, I know it's still, kind of. But
that I don't know, I guess.
That I don't know. I'm not familiar with.
Here, I'll try to research that real quick. See,
it's probably in Dane's. It's probably in Dane's draft guide.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He might be. I mean, he's from Georgia, so I don't know. He's probably not.
Is there blood type in there too? I love Dane. I love Dane. He's very thorough. He does a really good job.
He went to Georgia Military College for a year, so shout out him. Yeah, it's cool. Don't see anything about if he's a Mormon or not, so that's still TBD. But Tom, what do you got for us?
I'm gonna take Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State.
Oh, that's a doctor.
Jesus,
would you expect that any faster, Tom?
Yeah, that was an obvious one for Tom.
If he was here at this pick, I would do a backflip, or try. Probably tear some ligaments, but
we don't need you on the
great
IR.
tackler. I think he fits in the secondary well. Size, ran okay at his pro day, but he's coming off an ACL tear. I think he's more athletic than what little testing he did. Limited experience, but the profile's there. Seems like a really coachable kid. Just positives all around. So,
yeah, he was one of your guys on the last episode, right?
Yeah, he was my guy. He was my number one guy.
He was my guy. He was Tom's guy. Yeah. All right, so we got Kevin Winston Jr. added, and now Tom, it's back to you with your last pick of the year.
Yeah, then I'm leaving
in round 4.
Right, let me take a peek at wide receiver real quick. I think I know which way I'm going. Yeah, that's trash. Offensive tackle, real quick, real fast. Also trash. All right. Wide receiver. Did we already do that? We did that. Running back. Last time I'll ask.
Running back. Ooh, okay.
Man. Okay. Go back to all. All right. I'm going to go with a defensive tackle. I'm kidding.
I wouldn't have been shocked, honestly.
Keep taking a shot at that. We're going to hit one of them, right?
Okay. This is tough. This is tough. Actually, it may not be that tough.
Might be a little tough. It's the last pick, 4th round. And to recap, Tom's already chosen a defensive tackle, an interior offensive lineman, another defensive tackle, and then a safety. So very defensive heavy.
Yeah, I was
heavy.
I really like Chris Paul as a player, but his athleticism is just a big issue for me. You scroll down just a smidge more. A little bit further. Keep going, and stop. All right. I think I know which way I'm going, but there's one player I got to look up real quick just to.
Yeah, this is where this exercise gets a little tricky. You know, it gets a little tricky with these later round guys. You know, gotta have to kind of bank on a couple of traits as far as instead of overall kind of well-rounded prospects. You know, everyone in these rounds are gonna have something wrong with them. You know, they're gonna have some kind of downside, but about finding those key traits that obviously Andy and Spags both have very, you know, there's very obvious traits that they look for in a lot of their different players. So,
oh, this is tough. All right. I'm staying local. I'm going with Logan Brown out of Kansas. Guy who's coming up, was a big recruit, has played at multiple positions. I think he needs a year, probably like I don't know, maybe 2 years. Somewhat of an older player. Got to check out some off the field stuff with what happened at Wisconsin, but I think he's good competition for your backup tackle. Like his movement skills. If he pushes Wanye to be that third swing tackle, that's great. If you get more out of him, that's a big win. I like his athletic profile. He tested really well. Size 6'6", 33 and 7/8 inch arms at the combine. He was a little bit longer at his pro day. 10-inch hands. I think he could grow into it. But that's my my pick here. Kind of rolling on some traits, taking a in the draft. I want traits, and we're in a position to give him a year to develop. And I think I know he's been in school. Yeah, so he's an older prospect at 24. But we'll we'll do what we can with that. So
34 and a 4th-inch arms that passes that. So
yeah.
All right.
That's my
Logan, one of the few tackles in this draft that does have the arm length to play.
Exactly.
Tackle.
Yeah, it's kind of a rarity in this draft. So
yep.
All right, Kyle, back to you for your last pick. What do we got?
So this is kind of an interesting spot. Let me look at running back real quick. Is the first thing that jumps to mind because there's still one there. Click on the tight ends for me for a second.
Tight ends, Notre Dame guy.
He fits very much what they do with tight ends in this offense. He can block, but he's a much better pass catcher than he is blocker. He's a bigger guy. He's physical when he needs to be. He took a lot. He had a lot of guys hanging on him when he would catch passes for several years. While at Notre Dame, he was also one of their more reliable receiving options there for a while. You guys, anybody familiar with college football? Notre Dame didn't have a ton of wide receiver talent over the last few years. It's getting better, but it hadn't been. So it's been a lot of tight ends and running backs in that offense for a long time now. He's another one that you've seen with the long list of Notre Dame tight ends that couldn't catch passes and do enough in the blocking department to be a both tight end in this offense. I do think the running back is more of an option though, into where they may go. I think that one of these guys here, there's two of them really, Giddens or Ollie Gordon out of Oklahoma State. They both are running backs the Chiefs would do something in this round range with if they were available on the board. So
good round range for the running back. Yeah,
I'm gonna take Ollie Gordon. I think he's the more all around back out of the two of them, and I think he provides you a little more athleticism than DJ. But we'll see. Those are both names I could see them taking at this spot in time.
Sweet. All right, running back off the board, Ollie Gordon. Randy, for your last pick of the 2025 mock draft warfare, what do you got?
All right. So what was Tom's pick again?
Tom's pick, Logan Brown, offensive tackle.
Right, so we got tackle and running back.
Ollie Gordon, running back. Yep.
Gotcha. All right. looking at my list, which isn't necessarily the be all end all of positional need or whatnot, I need a defensive tackle. However, I do not really see.
Yeah, here's the D tackles left.
A D tackle that I would even choose at this point. Why don't you bring me back to the edge? I know I took edge last time, but I think there's a guy sitting here that fits the Spags look, the measurables, the attitude. He is a very raw player. But once you go, I want to see wide receivers real quick before I make that.
Check out wide receivers real quick. Yeah.
Ted Johnson, absolutely.
No,
there's
vetoing that one. If anyone chooses that, I'm vetoing it.
Yeah, there's one wide receiver there who I think is intriguing. More of the style that I think that we should go in, but probably won't in the Andy Reid era, which is unfortunately how things go. But I think I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the edge, and I'm gonna take Savion Jones.
Savion Jones.
I love Savion Jones.
He is a big 6'6", 280-pound defensive end with decent size and explosion. He ran his 40 in like a 4.7 range, I believe. But the thing is that he is raw. And this is kind of where you find those guys that have those measurables that you look for, that Spags really likes. They have the intangibles, and there just seems to be something missing. I just think he's really raw, and he tries to win just on physical ability. He's one of those guys who, almost like a puppy chasing cars, if you've heard me say that before, he gets real excited, and he's not quite sure what to do once he gets there when it comes to his pass rush moves and having a counter or having a plan when he actually gets to that point. But he's a big, strong dude who wins just a lot on just his physical traits alone, and I think in the fourth round, this is where you kind of find some of those gems that has those specific, areas of height, weight, speed that you kind of look for, and, chunks of clay that you can mold. So I'm going to go back-to-back defensive ends with my last two picks. But yeah, we'll go with Mr. LSU down there.
Savion Jones. All right.
A lot of doubling up this draft, but I also will say, I really think, like, I was between Savion Jones and Logan Brown for my pick, but didn't have a tackle, so felt a little cornered there.
Yeah, it's tough because
Savion's big enough to he could drop down and play a 3-tech too.
Yeah, well, he's got 10-inch hands, and he's only 21, so you mentioned him being raw. He's got time to develop. So,
yep.
All right, Garrett, take us home.
Yeah, that leaves just me with one
Mr.
pick.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly.
In this setting.
Interesting. So I don't have tackle, running back, or edge on the board. So kind of it's interesting options that we have left. I saw one guy early on that I was intrigued by. I don't know. I'm just trying to see if there's any better value in any other guy.
I think I might know where you're going.
Interior offensive line is just, I don't really know a lot of these guys. I haven't studied a lot of interior offensive line. Corner is interesting. I have a safety, but I don't have a corner, so that kind of can do something. Honestly, though, it's hard for me to look around, and this might be a little bit of a reach, but I see this wide receiver slate. That's there's a lot of names.
I knew
and
it.
One of the names still left, this guy, Mr. Jalen Lane out of Virginia Tech. He was another one of my guys from last week's episode. This at 133, it might be a little rich for him, but he's such a talented player. He can do a lot of things that the Chiefs would love. I talked about him a lot on the last episode. I don't got to go too deep into him, but I think with just the options left, it's tight end. Kyle did make a pretty convincing point for Mitchell Evans. I could never select a Notre Dame guy, though. I mean, come on, Notre Dame. We can't select a Notre Dame guy. Come on, ain't that right, Kyle?
I did that already.
No love for Kobe Bryant.
Bryant, great name.
That's where I thought Garrett was going to go.
It is a great name.
I thought he was going to be Kobe Bryant for sure.
I do love him just off of his name. And honestly, corner. If I were to look at corner, it would probably be either between Kobe Bryant or Dorian Strong.
Kobe's got he's got that Mamba mentality. There's a lot of stories about him, all the trash he was talking at the Senior Bowl, and at some of the other stuff. He's a very confident corner.
Just because of that, and Tom, you did a little convincing, but also I gotta, I'll appease this one half of the Chiefs fan base probably by choosing a Kansas guy. And I like his name, and I have been a fan of him throughout the entire process, especially this last year of college. He seemed to have a really good year. He's always making headlines somehow with his game, and he's a very competitive corner. He's a guy that I can see Spags really enjoying. And obviously he's named after a goat. He's got that mama mentality. So I think that'll convince me. I'm going to go with Kobe Bryant for the final pick of this draft. And with that wraps it up. So let's see. Let's take this off. Go back to the.
Whoa! Let's do that.
We're all over the place. Everything is changing.
I'm back to my natural position.
Yeah, Tom ended up back on the bottom. It was a good run while it lasted. Okay, so that was great. That was a great draft. Let me go over the final results here. I'm going to go person by person instead of round by round. So starting off with Tom. Tom had Derek Harmon in round 1, Tate Ratledge in round 2, Alfred Collins round 3, number 1, I should say, Kevin Winston at 95, and then Mr. Logan Brown at pick 133 to cap off his draft. Tom, quick thoughts on how you feel about your draft.
So sometimes as you're going through things, like themes kind of emerge, and I see the Chiefs roster in a little bit of a time of not a full reset, but maybe gearing towards a reset. And so my theme or my mentality for some of this was let's rebuild and restock the trenches. So and then get stronger in the middle of the field, right? Games are won. They're closer to the football you can get. So guard, defensive tackle, safety, those are all positions that line up within the hashes. I thought about linebacker, but I think overall they've got the players that they like in that room. And then I think the Logan Brown pick again was one of those, we got to roll the dice on something here just to see what we have and keep our trenches strong. We've seen Philly do it. We've seen other teams do it. And I think the Chiefs felt sometimes that lack of depth along their trenches this year. So that was some of my mentality, and then it just kind of shaped up that way where especially the Alfred Collins pick was like, it's just, you take good players and the whole time along, like you said, this might be a reach. One of the most important things in this draft is like there's a lot of questions with these prospects, and so it's going to be one of those situations where we see who can evaluate and who does their homework and who's kind of got it figured out. So stick to your convictions, take good players.
That's valid. That's very valid. All right, Kyle, you ended the draft with Gray Zabel in round 1, Xavier Watts in round 2, Alec Ayomanor in round 3A, Jalen Royals in round 3B, and Ollie Gordon in round 4. How do you feel about it?
Bites at the apple is kind of the approach here. Some of these guys may not go at the positions that we took them in this draft, but are still a player the Chiefs would be considering at some point in this draft. And then when you're in the middle couple positions of this exercise, there's position limitations right when you start, or stuff like that. So it's a little bit different. Yeah. I think the only name that I think I took that they will probably not look at is Ayumanor, and it's not their vibe. But he's a very good player that played at Stanford, so you got to deal with what you deal with at Stanford. If you've watched Stanford football at all over the last several years, it's not been great for a little while. They've had some issues. He was kind of a bright spot for that team for a while. Put up big numbers.
Throwing the ball to him anymore,
That's so, but the
elite reference.
The Zabel pick, the Watts pick, those are both guys that I think they could look at. I have seen a variety of different things with Xavier Watts, where there are people talking about him going in round 1 and people talking about him going in round 4. So it tells you kind of what this draft looks like. On where people are all over the place on this draft. I think a little more than we've seen in prior years, because as Tom mentioned, it's kind of a lot of these guys have questions draft. And when you have that, you have people all over the board on different players. So it's going to be interesting to see who is good players, where they rank, because you're going to see some guys go in this draft, I think, in very different places than where the consensus has fallen in this draft process.
Yeah, I think so. There's so much. Yeah, it's very team specific. One team might have a round 2 grade on a guy who another team has a round 4 grade, just because it's different skill sets for what they use. And yeah, it's definitely a very polarizing draft this year. Randy, you ended the draft with Josh Connerly at the end of round 1, Darian Porter at round 2, Cam Scadaboo at round 3A, Ashton Gillette at round 3B, and Savion Jones in round 4. How'd you do?
I got a couple of my guys in there, which is nice. I do. I mean, you hear a lot of buzz here recently about the Chiefs potentially trading up to 24 range for a tackle, whether that be Simmons or Connerly or Ursery or something like that. So I think Connerly has a legitimate potential shot to be that our number one, our first round pick. Am I super happy about that? Not. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't love it. I would understand it. He's got some skill, that's for sure, but there are some deficiencies in his game that I do not like. But Darian Porter, I love Darian Porter. Everybody knows that. Anybody that's been listening or paying any attention to some of the things I've been saying lately. But a big, tall, fast, rangy corner would be a lot of fun. I think Spags could have some fun with that guy. One of the more polarizing players in this draft with Mr. Scadaboo. Probably out of all the picks that I have, I think he's probably the least likely to end up in a Chiefs uniform. However, I do think that would be a whole lot of fun to see in our backfield. And then the two edge players. I really wanted to land one of my favorite defensive tackles at some point. Just kind of didn't get around. Didn't get around to me with the
board works. Yeah.
Positional breaks that we had and how the dominoes fell, but. The edge from Louisville is he's a very intriguing guy. He doesn't quite have the length that Spags likes. He's only 6'3", but he is explosive. I was reading he's got like a 400-pound power clean in the weight room. Like, he is just a strong, explosive, one of those dudes who has a motor that just doesn't kind of stop. He likes to chase things down from the back end too, which is awesome. And then Mr. Jones, who has all of the things that Spags likes, but it's just a raw player. So I like my list. Yeah, I'm happy with it. We got there's some dogs and there's some players I really like. Yeah, it was a good one.
Right on. Yeah. All right, and then I ended the night with Jalen Knoll in round 1, Quinshad Judkins in round 2, Andrew Makuba in round 3A, Shamar Turner in round 3B, and Kobe Bryant to round out round 4. I am pretty happy. I got a couple of my guys as well. I could have even had more of my guys if I really wanted to reach. But I really like Jalen Knoll. I think he's going to be a really talented player if you give him the right skill set and right creativity of an offensive coordinator, which, boom, we got that. I think we got that handled with Andy Reid. I think he would absolutely feast with combining Jalen Knoll and Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown. I mean, that would just be an electric wide receiver room. Like, you're a complete night and day difference from last year's receiver room and how that kind of ended the year. You're adding a lot of young, fresh talent that's just really good skill set for what this offense could use. Quinshad Judkins, a really good, just productive college back. I think it's about time the Chiefs have had another really good, productive back that they can kind of, I'm not out on Isaiah Pacheco by any means, but coming off a big injury like he was, and you don't have to run it through him. You can kind of go back to running back by committee, add some different flavors into that running back room. I think Judkins would be really solid for that. Andrew Makuba, I really like him as a player. Honestly, if I had to choose one guy, I might almost just choose him as the one guy I would wish to hit out of these guys, just because he's so fun to watch. And I think he'd be flying around in KC, which would be fun. Shamar Turner, just seems like a good add to the defensive line. Obviously, you just need more depth there in some way, and I think the Chiefs are definitely going to add at least a couple guys to the D-line in this draft for sure. So that's a good talented prospect. And then Kobe Bryant, just a good player. He definitely has a lot of traits that Spags would definitely be all about. And get that, the local connection. Obviously, the Chiefs are no strangers to doing that. They're not afraid to draft some local guys. So, yeah, I think he'd be a fun addition to that cornerback room, which is going to lose some guys. It's got to remember there's going to be a lot of turnover. There's going to be a lot of turnover period for the Chiefs the next couple of years. There's a lot of guys who are ending their rookie deals. There's a lot of contracts that are coming up that they're going to have to turn over. So it's definitely an interesting draft for the Chiefs because there might not be as many immediate big holes on the roster this year. But if you look ahead to future years, that's where I think this draft is going to have to really hit as far as some of those positions that the Chiefs might not have locked up as much in the next couple years. So with that about does it for tonight. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Let us know. We're going to release a graphic with all of our picks and whatnot. Let us know, A, who your favorite pick is and who your favorite draft is, and B, who do you think is going to accurately predict some guys, because there's a lot of we all have pretty good complete mock drafts for these rounds, but it's all about the main goal of trying to predict someone that the Chiefs will actually select in a couple days, which is just a couple days away. The draft is on Thursday. This episode's going to be coming out Tuesday, so it's going to be real soon.
Christmas is coming.
Exactly. It's about that special time of the year. So let us drop a comment on Twitter or Facebook or wherever YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, drop us a comment and let us know who won this little exercise. And yeah, that about does it for us. We will be back. Very soon. We have plans to do some live content for the round 1 and probably day 2 as well. We'll try to get some. We'll probably go live discussing the end of round 1 before the Chiefs pick, get some of our thoughts and predictions and whatnot, and then get some instant reactions to who the Chiefs pick. And day 2 will probably do some of a similar variety. And yeah, we're just gonna have a good time with all the culmination of research and film watching and reading and predicting and theorizing. It's about to finally come to a close, and the draft will finally be here, and we'll have some new Chiefs. So it'll be a very fun time. It'll be a very, very fun time. Fellas, any final thoughts, comments, or concerns before we get out of here for the people?
Nope. Just want to thank Country again for trying to participate. Yeah. Could not with the technical issues, but happy to have him attempt to try, I guess, for a while. It was tough for that not to work out, but we do appreciate his time that he still tried to give us. So other than that, no, I think it's, like I said, this exercise is interesting because of the limitations of the positions, of the limitations of the players being taken already. It makes you think, and it also provides some variety to the randomness of the NFL draft and kind of what that simulates and how that works in the actual draft too. It's not just this year, but every year it's a little bit different, but it provides you with a more real way to look at how players will come off this board as opposed to just your traditional mock drafts where there seems to be a lot of collective think when it comes to draft prospects, especially when it comes to like fan bases. Yeah. So it's interesting to kind of take some of that out because it's forced out when you limit and restrict the positions and the rounds and how it kind of splits out. So it's a fun exercise every year. We appreciate everybody doing it with us, and I had a good time. Good job, fellas.
Yeah, definitely a good time.
We'll see you next year. Do it again.
Exactly. Yeah, Tom, 2026. Who are you drafting for in round 1? You think you already have that locked in or no?
2026. Man, you catch me slacking.
We don't need it. We don't really need it. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have even joked about it.
I mean,
I shouldn't have even joked about
it. Because now he's probably going to find out. Yeah.
I mean, it's not that serious. It's so hard to tell. First round, I mean, it could be anybody.
That's what I'm saying.
But, I mean, we're gonna be drafting at the end of the first round again.
Yeah, so you can already put that in. Pick 32. A lot of
things that can happen from now until then. So who knows?
Yeah.
There's the kid out of Oklahoma who's the brother of the Northwestern kid that I loved, Adebawore.
Tom just said a whole bunch of nothing. Do y'all just hear that?
The
kid out of this college.
It's the brother-in-law of the cousin that I once knew that was
no,
his other guy like
played at junior college.
ADE.
Went to this one high school.
This is his real name, ADEPOJU. That's the first name. Last name ADEBAWORE. I don't know. That's
the Nigerian one. Yeah, I mean we got Felix Anudike Uzama. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out if we need to go a little crazy on pronunciations.
I learned the other guy's last name. Also, we have an all-time name candidate coming up, and you should be familiar with this guy, Bear Alexander. Used to play for USC.
Not a bad name. All right. Well, that's before Tom can rattle off any more 2026 draft prospects.
Dalen Everett, cornerback.
I'm gonna get us out of here. We appreciate you all for watching and listening on this one. Be sure to follow us at Kingdom Says Pod on Facebook, X, Instagram, wherever you get your content. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere else. And we will see you guys Thursday night for round 1 predictions and reactions to the draft. And then furthermore, throughout the whole weekend, we're going to have a lot of content and graphics and coming out and things like that. So that's it. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. We will see you guys on the next episode.